we're going to talk about some of the ways that Mike Tyson was able to knock anyone out, no matter what size they were, big or small, tall or short. But first, you have to realize that for the heavyweight division, Mike Tyson was below average. He was lighter than the average heavyweight,
218 pounds.
he was much shorter than the average heavyweight, and he had a much shorter reach than the average heavyweight. With all these disadvantages, Mike Tyson should not be the knockout king, but he is. So it's time to answer the question, what was his secret? Let's start with this quote that we hear a lot in boxing. It's the punch they don't see coming that knocks them out.
The opponent doesn't see the punch, and that's what knocks him out. He's not prepared for it.
Absolutely.
And if you watch his fights closely, you'll see that Mike Tyson is an absolute master of throwing punches that his opponents could not see. And it wasn't a fluke, this was actually built into his style, the peekaboo style. And it all started with aggressive counterpunching. You see, Mike Tyson would aggressively close the distance, forcing the opponents to throw punches to try and keep him at bay. But this would just create openings.
Years of age, long is 27. Oh, wow.
And this is where the peekaboo style head movement would come in, because with this style of head movement, not only would you slip a punch by moving your head, but you'd move your entire upper body with it as well. A lot of boxing experts will tell you don't do this. This is a waste of energy and it puts you off balance. Now, we'll cover that balance issue later on in this video, but one thing that those experts fail to realize is that when you move your entire body with the slip, you put yourself into a power punching position. And not just any position. This is a position that most boxers are not used to seeing. So when Mike would throw power punches out of these positions, his opponents didn't even see them coming.
Those kinds of punches will frequently hit an opponent without the opponent seeing the punch, and those are the punches that do the most damage.
But even when they did see Mike drop into these slip positions, it was still hard for them to predict which punch he would throw, as he could throw a power hook to the temple, a power shot to the liver, or an uppercut to the chin, all from the exact same position.
If he throws a punch here, you come here, you're going here, and you're still outside.
Which brings us to our next point. Actually, I'll let Mike explain this one.
Keep his mind preoccupied with the body punches, and the punches that come to the head are the knockout punches.
Preoccupying the mind with body shots, then coming upstairs with the knockout punch. Now, there are many different head-body combinations, but these were some of Mike's most effective ones. 8-2, jab to the body, then right hand over the top. This was one of Tyson's main ways of setting up his right hand. He wouldn't even throw the body jab hard, but he'd get low with it, then boom, explode over the top with the right hand.
He winds up, bang, he nails him, it's all over.
6-1, right hook to the body, left hook to the jaw.
Last round.
Tyson took care of business, ducked under, a shot.
You have the right hand, boom, boom, left hook to the head.
The left hook there, and at that point the legs were really gone.
6-4, right hook to the body, right uppercut to the head. One of the ways that Mike was able to be so effective with this combo was that he would turn southpaw to throw the uppercut. This put him into a position where not only could the opponents not see the uppercut coming, but he could create just enough space to generate maximum power.
Stays in punching range of his opponent. He's on top of him, so that...
Notice that with a lot of the moves we've covered so far, the opponent is actually throwing punches at the exact same time, and Mike is able to avoid these punches because not only does he move his head before and after he throws punches, he also moves his head while he's throwing his punches. That's another technique that is just built into this peekaboo style. And one of the ways Mike Tyson was able to build this technique was with hours and hours and hours working on the slip bag. If you're someone that's interested in the peekaboo style and the techniques that Mike Tyson used, Slip Bag Mastery is an online course that will show you those drills and exactly how to build that muscle memory for those techniques. And I'm going to throw mine at the same time. Okay, I don't want you to be jabbing all the way out here and then waiting for the slips. I want it to be boom. Notice how Mike Tyson flows effortlessly between offense and defense. No matter what level you're at, this is something that can be drilled at home or at the gym. Hit the link in the comments to check out the online course, and let's get back to the video. Which brings us to the third secret of Mike's knockout power, which is a slight variation of a technique called the Dempsey roll. You see, the Dempsey roll was a technique of using momentum to launch your full body weight into your punches while moving your head. In this example, you can see that Jack Dempsey is executing the technique perfectly, knocking down a much larger opponent. Naturally, Mike Tyson would emulate this technique as he was also often fighting much larger opponents. The reason why most coaches don't teach you this technique is because it can throw you off balance. As Jack Dempsey uses the technique here, you can see that with each punch, he's switching back and forth from orthodox into southpaw, which is what allows him to put all of his body weight into those punches without losing balance. Mike Tyson would also use this technique, but a bit more subtly, often just using it once or twice to land big shots while closing the distance before throwing multiple punch combinations to finish them off. But it was often the Dempsey roll punches that did the most damage and led to the KO. As you can see here in this example, Tyson actually uses the Dempsey roll variation to land a lead left uppercut out of the southpaw stance, and he ends up in an orthodox stance. In this example, just count how many times he uses that variation of the Dempsey roll to switch stance while throwing all of his body weight behind those punches.
He puts his hip behind. Look at here. He's just putting his entire body behind the punch, and he's so relentless. Again, the uppercut, left hook. He's still in position to throw more punches, and it's just a matter of time. That left hook there was deadly.
Tyson used this technique so seamlessly that most people watching his fights didn't even know what was happening. Which brings us to the final secret of why Mike Tyson was able to knock out anyone. And this one has to do with his stance. You see, most of the other heavyweights with a high knockout ratio, they were specialists with one specific punch. For example, David Tua with the left hook, Joe Frazier with the left hook, and Deontay Wilder with the right hand. You see, most boxers stand in a narrow boxing stance, and they do this to create a smaller target for their opponents to hit. But in terms of punching power, this limits their movement, whereas Mike Tyson was in a more square and front-on stance. Not only did this allow him better access and slipping to the sides of his opponents, which set up the first secret of his punching power from this video, but it allowed him to generate more punching power in either hand. And the results speak for themselves. Mike Tyson could knock you down or knock you out with either hand and with any punch, including the left jab. And he's even got a knockdown with the right jab.